Hey peeps, Propane here from the Brotherhood of Redemption on Sarlona. As you know, I enjoy making many different characters, many different bullet builds. I have a lot of alts, so I thought I'd take a little time and share one of some of the details of one of them with you today. Just to be clear, I'm not a min-maxer builder. I don't claim to have the best builds, but I hope the characters I run are both functional and fun. That's my goal. Again, due to having many alts, I typically don't have a lot of past lives, so I try to lean towards builds that don't require many lives, as well as gear that you can get from common raids or fairly easy farming. I hope today's you understand maybe a little bit of how I built my character and why, and then learn a couple details to apply to a similar build or any other builds you're working on. So let's get started. Today I'll be covering the Lucky Pressing Prior Preacher build. This is an 18 rogue, or excuse me, 10 rogue, 8 cleric, 2 fighter build. I do use DDO Builder. It's a download app that has a building tool for you. I'll have some more screenshots from that, but it really helps planning out builds, so I recommend using it. They do a great job. The goal of this build, it's a trapper by first. I want to make sure I'm good in traps. Some rain, range DPS, some self buffing, some debuffing, and a spot healer. For this build, I went a little over half the points into Inquisitive, spent a fair amount on War Priest, and then the Harper's Agent at the end. One thing to note, and I'll go through the next slide, but you do have a dex requirement. You need to get up to 19 dex by level 15. I'll show that in the next slide. My build I did with a deep gnome because I had an alt that needed some attention and I reworked that alt. But Shatter Kai is probably I would say one of the first choices that starts out with Rogue 1 that helps with the skill points. So any race will probably do, but Rogue 1's nice to start with. You just get a few more skill points. So looking into a little more details of the build, you can start with the feat selection and the class selection. Again, I start with Rogue 1, then I kind of alternate back and forth going down between Rogue and Cleric. Then I mix in a level of Fighter for basically the extra feats. So we got basically all the crossbow items. I did go Luck Domain for the buffs, which we'll see as we get in the game a little bit. And that is the high level build as I got laid out. One of the things I'll mention with the skill points that had a lot to do with the class choosing order. By picking the classes in a alternating order allows you to maximize your skill points. Again, starting with Rogue to try to give you a little more skill points at the end, and then the Cleric, and then on the way through. One thing I also mentioned with my gear set, typically with the gear set at endgame, I really try to pick the one set that I really want the character to have, and that happened to be the Tinker set out of the House Cannith, the Lord of Blades Master Artificer set. And then from that, I tried to pick what artifact I wanted. That ended up being the Autumn Strap Leaves for the high intelligence. And then finally, I'll fill in around for, I chose end up going Winter 4 for some of the hit points, and then Summer 2 for a little bit of the advantage that comes with that. So, quick cruise through the character itself. We can take a look here. First, I'll just go over the character again. 10 cleric, 8 rogue, 2 fighter. Int base very high. Then tried to be as healthy as I can, and then mixed in some charisma. Dodge isn't quite maxed out, 21 out of 27 dodge, so there's always a little room for improvement. PRR, MRR, we got 118, 100. I think those are fairly reasonable for cloth or medium or light armor character. Take a look at the enhancements. The majority of them did go into Inquisitive. At the end, I want to take the fun stuff for the No Holes Barred. Uncanny Dodge, I already have that in the Rogue, so I could probably retweak that and get that point spent somewhere else. The extra range power and attack speed is good, and went all the way up to the core here for the extra ability scores. One thing interesting in the Inquisitive, there is an option here that lets you count your light and heavy non-repeating crossbows as a favored weapon. So I utilize that to go up the War Priest tree. So you pick up some hit points, some PRR, you get some hit damage and universal spell power. You get 3 clickies for extra damage on attack, and this last one will actually do a healing AoE on you. And I'll step outside in the wilderness here in a second so you can see how well that works. And then a little double shot's always good. And then Harper Agent, I did go up the tree to get intelligence for damage and intelligence to hit. A lot of people will probably try to fit in all the angles. That's something I thought about, but I have plenty cookies already to use, so I didn't choose that. But for 3 AP, you'd have to figure out where to take them from. You could get know the angles. You could probably grab 2 of the 3 right there, so it wouldn't be a big stretch for you. Then into the Epic Destinies. Shroud Champion, I went for the tier 5. That was primarily due to this particular item. You are always considered to be in point blank range. That's a lot of DPS, so that was very nice to have. You also get the extra critical modifier, the Prism stance that just helps with general DPS, and then the Epic Moment. So that kind of drove really the major point spend. I did spend some in the Shadow Dancer tree, and really I was after trying to get the extra sneak attack die. And a little extra double shot is always nice. And then I went Divine Crusader, so I could have my healing basically circle for myself or others as needed. This build tends to be a little bit of a supportive build, so this helps. You can drop this, run up to the fight, drop this, and head back out, or stay in and use it. For gear, just go around the horn. Again, there's a lot of ways to gear a character. It's one of the fun parts of the game, but just a little bit of how and why I picked what I did. So the first we'll take a look at the Tinker set. And this here, you got the 15% plus 15 artifact bonus to range power. The plus 30% for the fortification bypass, which is always good. And then the plus 5 for the open locks and disable. So being intelligence build, I did go the intelligence, quality intelligence here. With the mating item, I believe you can update this with Dex. I did not do that, but that finished out the set. And if we take a look at the other items, I went with the light armor for the winter set. So that helps get up to your 10% extra hit points. I got the cold iron bracers. It's always a nice item. A lot of people farm that. I went with the ring. Insightful Constitution, I think, is doubled up, but the armor piercing again is kind of nice, and the action boost I think helps with the count for the basically rapid shot. The boots, got most of my health piled in these boots with a slot of plus 12 con, plus 3 Constitution for quality, and then the Insightful here as well. And for the artifact, I did go with the Strap of Autumn Leaves. I was lucky enough to get a mythic boost here, but the Intelligence 14 is great for the build. Magical efficiency always saves on the spell points, and that allowed me to kind of dip into both sets, both the autumn, which isn't quite as important, but the winter is very nice. One of the items that's kind of, I won't call it an outlier, but one of the items I found that worked well with this build is this cloak from the Salt March. The extra nimble skills really help with your rogue abilities, so that was the primary driver getting that. At the end of the day, I didn't find a necklace I really liked or that would fit well in, so I did a crafted item. I happened to have one with a blue and colorless slot. So the devotion was something I was trying to fit into the build, so devotion was added, and then some extra defense. The change stone, I did spend 2 raid ruins on this, and basically I got the double shot, which was good, deception was good, and deadly. So this was a relatively good pull. With the change stone, it's kind of random what you get, so that was probably a little bit of a gamble for the build, but I wasn't too far off. For a weapon, currently I am using this light crossbow. One thing I really liked about it, it has improved destruction built into it, so that really helps with the debuffing for your personal sneak attack and everyone else's sneak attack. And then in regards to augments, let's just quick take a look. So I got a slot there. For my minor artifact, I went with 3 pieces. Let's see here. Yeah, I went for the reverberation set for 2 pieces. You get your 46 plus 1d6 damage. So that was a nice constant damage output for only 2 sets. I think that's one of the lower sets that you can get something for only 2 pieces. And I believe I went this just for a little extra physical resistance. Put that back on. And then in the crossbow, I did go the shattered device. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces on that. So with that, that helps with basically the debuffing. Your 4 tier, your melee and range attacks have a chance to reduce enemy PRR and MRR by 10. So that was the primary driver behind that. A couple other things to quick note out. On this side of my hotbar, I have where I do my thief abilities. So I have, let's say, my basic abilities here, and then I'll hot swap to different trinkets. Leveling up one thing, these trinkets were really valuable, and I did them like every 5 gears to really help keep your thief skills high. And there is a cleric spell, Find Traps, that helps with finding the traps a little bit. And then at the very end, I actually created a special weapon set for the really hard to do traps. And with this, I put the Trapper's Delight in. Currently, I only have 3. Eventually, I'll probably get 4 for a couple more points on it. But this is really kind of the icing on the cake. You really don't need this, but it was one thing that I did to try to up my thieving abilities. Because I know with a splash mix build like this, it can be really hard to get the high level thieving abilities. So just to go show where we're at, I'm at 81 in my, let's say, DPS gear. So if I cast my spell and put my Hunter's Glass on, that moves me up to 107, and that's not without a GH. So if I would fire off a GH here, yeah, so up to 111 here. So that's just standing here in the Feywild. If I go to my disabled device, that's 107. And open lock's 107. And again, if I go to the special gear set, that gains me 3. And if I add one more tier, it'll gain me a couple more. And then in addition, by going Helm, I do have ability to add a little extra bonus here with a clicky. So you can get another 5 to search if you need to with the Helm clicky. Other items on the build here, I do have Luck Domain Displacement, and you can extend and quicken with your meta magics, so that helps quite a bit for survivability. And then I have my Divine Power. And then when I step outside, I'll show you the reason for this here, but you basically have your Smite full for your healing strike, your pin, which is good, And then with the Hunter's End, that's really my DPS shot. When I do this, I follow it up with the Shoot Later, with that being a 5W attack and +2 crit range. If you do crit with this combo, it does really nice damage. So let's hop out here and check it out for a little bit. See if we get lucky and pull a rare. Nope. So just to show a little bit here, do my buffs. Fairly simple, straightforward buffs. You do have Death Ward for yourself, which is nice. Creating your own arrows, or bolts, that's always nice. Freedom of movement, that's quite often. Spawn screen is often needed in a couple raids, so that's a nice add. So let me go back to my DPS set. So I'm going to probably pick on a poor frog out here, but let's do the Hunter's End. And that was 6,000 a shot, or 700 from a healing spike. So let me grab a couple more here, but just to show you, depending on what you roll, these combos are fairly effective. You can drop a healing circle here. Again, not to be a max DPS build, but you can do some nice combos. Do a Hunter's End. There's 14,000 on that guy. A nice double shot. So this combo resets here. It's part of the reason I have the other one here if you don't want to wait for the cooldown. That was only 4K, but you get the idea. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the quick little overview. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out. Again, this is Propane on the Brotherhood of Redemption on Salona. Thank you. Hey peeps, Propane here again. I forgot to mention the rings. My bad here. So I just wanted to quick go over um, the seal. It's a relatively low level ring, but it's really nice to have for a rogue. You get both sneak attack, insightful sneak attack, and improved deception. Comes from the second chain in Evening Star, House of Rusted Blades, I think. But look it up. It's a really nice ring to have. I use it in my hot swap, so that's kind of my standard ring. If I'm running something specific, say the Hunt Quest, here's my cold resistance. Killing Time, here's my electrical resistance. Underwater action, Featherfall. So I typically have a little family of rings for quest-specific resistance, and then something that works for most of the time while you're running. So sorry I forgot to add that last time. Enjoy. Have a great day.